the biggest thing I try to bring them is they are the lowest paid members of the team, and that's not a secret. That is something everybody knows going into work every day. They know that they're getting paid less than the hygienist, less than the office manager, and yet you talk to the majority of dental practices out there, they can't function without a dental assistant being there. They're really the air traffic controllers for the entire business.
Hey everyone, it's Tony Will. Oh, you're in for a treat today for our episode of Women In, and my guest is awesome. I can't wait for you to meet him. But first, let me tell you what you're listening to. Women In is a podcast that celebrates women from all walks of life and the people who uplift them. Each episode features incredible voices from my world, sharing stories that spark inspiration, challenge the status quo, and remind us that empowering women empowers everyone. This is a bold, curious, and uncensored space where disruption is welcome, forward thinking is encouraged, and change is the goal. I'm passionate about breaking down barriers, not just for us, but for the next generations. Whether our paths cross professionally or personally, these conversations matter. Let's dive in and celebrate the power of connection, growth, and the people who are shaping our world, and this man is definitely one of them. With more than 25 years in the dental publishing industry, Kevin Henry is the former group editorial director for Dental Products Report and managing editor for Dental Economics. Currently, he is the editor-in-chief for Dr. Bicuspid, right? How do you say it?
Bicuspid. How about that? Now?
Bicuspid, drbicuspid.com. You can tell I'm not in the dental world. Okay. He has spoken to dental assistants throughout the world, in person, and through the Dental Assistant Nation podcast series, reminding them of the important role they play every day in their practice. He's also certified as a DISC trainer, helping dental practices learn how to understand each other better through personality assessments and training. Hey, Kevin.
Hey, how you doing?
I am so good. Thank you for helping me with bicuspid.
It's all right. You know, that's not a word you just throw out every day, let's be honest. So it's fine.
I'm like, I'm going to trip over this one. As I'm reading your bio, I'm like, oh, Kevin and I have the same similar name thing. And I'm going to explain this. Like, two first name, Tony Will, Kevin Henry. Do people notice that? Does anyone say anything about it?
So, true story. High school, I dated a girl. First time I met her dad, he shakes my hand and he said, "Two first names, huh? I never trust a man with two first names." And I was like, all right, we're off to a great start here. So I didn't date her very long, as it turns out, but hey, it's all good.
And that must be, my husband said the same thing, because I don't know, I guess I don't think about those things, but I'm like, oh, I guess you do have two first names. Well, and three when you add his middle name in. Is your middle,
Exactly.
What's your middle name?
I'm Gail, Kevin Gale Henry.
Oh.
So there you go.
Okay.
Yeah, Gail is 4 generations. And then when my daughter was born, she did not get a Gail. So I'm a black sheep for that, but it is what it is.
But I love the Gale in the sense of the history for you, but also that's like Tony. It can be male or female.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
yeah. Yep. It's a surprise every time, and it's all good with me.
Yeah.
So
So tell everyone how you and I came into each other's lives.
Well, I invited you onto my podcast because I thought your message would resonate so well with my 320,000 dental assistants who are out there in the United States and need that encouragement and need to know that they matter. And whenever I saw your bio and I saw what you're doing out there to empower women and to raise them up, and dental assisting is 96% female, I was like, Tony Will has to be on Dental Assistant Nation, and you were kind enough to join, which I really appreciate.
I thought your work was just so, pardon my French, but this is how impactful it is, fucking cool. Because you're a man lifting 320,000 women, mostly, up. Yeah. And so it's the inverse of what I see usually. And what led you to do that?
You know, to be perfectly frank, you mentioned my bio, my 25 plus years. I came into this from sports public relations. I knew nothing about dentistry. I didn't know how to pronounce bicuspid. Let's be honest, I did not. So, but I needed a job whenever my job that I was with moved out of Tulsa, Oklahoma, where I'm from originally. And I got more into dentistry not the clinical side, but the teamwork, the empowerment. How do we work together? How do we get along? I really got into that side of things. And I noticed at the company I was with at the time that they had something for dentists, they had something for dental hygienists, but there was nothing for the assistants. And there are more assistants out there than there are dentists and hygienists combined. And I'm like, why aren't we talking to these amazing women about what they're doing every day and why they need to love what they do? So I actually started, and this was bold at the time, an e-newsletter, back in '05 for dental assistants. And then I was asked by the Oregon Dental Association to come speak to their dental assistants. And it started me down a path I never expected, but 21 years later, I love it every day, and it's my joy to help raise them up and to make sure that they understand, why they're amazing.
It's interesting, and I don't remember if you and I talked about this because we interviewed several months ago when I was on your podcast. But the dental world. First off, you all have a lot of conferences. Second of all,
Yes.
I know a lot of people. Like when you start to build relationships in the speaker, podcaster, consultant sphere. I have a lot of friends who are, and I'm thinking about most of them, that I've met through sobriety that
Mhm.
are in that same world. And then through them, I've met other people who are in the dental world, but not in the sobriety world, doesn't matter. But I'm like, you all are just, there's something about the dental world, and I'm connecting with all of you.
It's funny because I literally just got back yesterday from the Speaking Consulting Network meeting, which is of all of us dental folks coming together to talk about our speaking, to learn from each other about how to be better at what we do. Laura Hatch, I don't know if you, Laura Nelson now. I'm not
Yes,
sure if you know.
we are
Yes, Laura
friends.
Nelson. There
Yes,
you go. Laura, whenever you said sobriety, I'm like, Laura Nelson.
that's us.
Exactly right. So, yep. Yeah, she's an amazing person. And there's so many good people in this industry. That's why I fell in love with it. It's not because of the teeth and the periodontal disease and all this stuff. It's the people, and that's what gets me going every day.
Yeah, Laura's fantastic. I was just with her 2 weeks ago in Colorado Springs. We were both speaking at the same event
Nice.
around sobriety, and she's a dear friend, and she's a perfect example. I'm like, the world becomes so small
Yes.
when you open up and be your authentic self, no matter what we're doing. And in your situation, it's really proudly lifting women up, and a lot of them. And so, what is some of the common themes you're hearing from these women? What are they thirsty for? What education are you bringing them?
The biggest thing I try to bring them is they are the lowest paid members of the team, and that's not a secret. That is something everybody knows going into work every day. They know that they're getting paid less than the hygienist, less than the office manager, and yet you talk to the majority of dental practices out there, they can't function without a dental assistant being there. They're really the air traffic controllers for the entire business. And so it's a very weird split that they're getting paid the least, and yet they're one of the integral parts of the success of the practice. So my job is to keep them going, to keep them in this industry because, like every other industry, dentistry has seen a huge exodus of people.
Mm.
And it's been very apparent in the dental assistant world. We have so many that have left. And it's not just because of the pay, it's because, back during COVID, which, I know we don't like to talk about, but obviously with spray coming out of the mouth at a time that we didn't know really about what COVID was, that wasn't the sexiest job to have. Let's be perfectly honest. So we lost so many during that period, and we still haven't gotten them back. And so I really view every day that I get up and I do my podcast and I do my talks, it is how do I make sure that these amazing women stay in this industry and that they have a smile on their face the next day and the day after that.
What feedback have you been getting? I mean, you started your your. I laugh because this is like it's AI now, where everyone's like AI, and so I picture
Right.
you doing an e-newsletter 21 years ago, and people are like, oh, Kevin's from the future. Like, what is he
Oh, yes,
doing?
yes.
So, right? Like, what? So,
Seriously. I try to explain that to my daughter now, and she's like, cool, but yeah, no, at the time it was pretty earth-shattering that we actually had a list and we sent something out and people actually read it. It was crazy talk.
what feedback are you getting when you're And what are you writing about? I mean, are these types of topics, and maybe weaving in disc, is that stuff that's being layered
Yeah,
in there too?
it is because if you know DISC,
I don't.
I'm an S
Hmm.
personality. I am a kumbaya, can't we all just get along kind of guy. My wife is a high D, so that's something we work on every day. But the majority of dental assistants, it's been estimated, there's nothing scientific there, but it's been estimated that roughly 60% of them are S's as well. They want to serve, they want to be the person who cares, they have this big heart. And so I always take that into consideration because whenever I talk to assistants anywhere, why do you do this? Why did you get into it? The number one thing they tell me is, I want to help people. I want people to smile again. I want people to be healthy. You know, all the altruistic things. It's never about, I'm going to go sail on my yacht this weekend, at the lake. It is, I want to help people. And that's what I always keep in mind anytime that I do a podcast, a webinar, an article, whatever it is for them. It's that at the very base of what they do, they walk out of there fulfilled if they've helped somebody that day.
Hmm.
And so I've got to be the person that helps them so that they can help others. So I really kind of see it as a domino effect.
Yeah, let's step back just in case anyone is listening to this for the first time and is like, what are these two
Good.
talking about? What is a disc assessment? So go ahead and describe. I know what it is, and I'm going to tell you in a minute
Yeah,
why, but
sure.
yeah, what is a disc assessment?
So the 30,000 foot view is that there's research out there that each of us have one of four dominant personality traits: D for dominance, I for influence, S for steadiness, C for conscientiousness. And certainly, I've got two questions that I always ask my audience because I do this with my audience whenever I'm speaking, and they kind of know their disc style by the time that they're done with these two questions, which take about 60 seconds. And for me, I think everybody should know that, and they should know also who they're working with as well as who they're living with, what kind of style that they've got, just because it makes communication so much easier whenever you know what that other person needs in order to actually move forward with a conversation.
Okay, so what are those two questions? I'm going to answer them for you, and then you tell me what you think I
Okay.
am.
All right. Oh boy, you're putting me on the spot here, so let me think back real quick.
Oh, sorry.
It is no, you're fine. Okay, so on a normal day, are you quiet and attentive, or are you outspoken and attention grabbing?
Oh, B.
Okay, yeah, yeah. So I always ask them that
Mm-hmm.
question, and then on the other one I say, are you? If I ask you a question, are you curious and accepting, or are you quiet and assuming? So, do you want to know more after I've asked you a question, or do you go, oh, okay, he must be an expert, and you sit back?
Hmm.
So, those are the two questions that I ask, and that kind of puts them on that diagram, the DISC. So,
I think on that second one, I'm probably the first.
yeah.
So where does that put me?
So, if you're skeptical, shall we say,
Yeah.
and then you're also out there wanting people to know, I would say that you're probably a D or you're probably a C.
Okay. So I grew up doing these
Wow.
assessments because my
Okay.
dad was a leadership coach before coaching was a thing in the 80s. So he would
Mhm.
coach CEOs and executive leaders. And so I grew up taking
Okay.
Gallup Strength Finders and DISC assessments
Oh,
and
awesome.
when I was
Yes.
13 years old. So I haven't taken DISC in a long time. But back then I was a DI.
Okay. All right.
The
I can see that.
Okay. What's the I mean again?
I is influence. So, and I always joke eyes for Instagram because you like for people to know you're there whenever
Oh,
like whenever you walk into a room. Yeah, there's no secret you've arrived.
yeah. I will say I'd be interested in taking it now as and let me ask you this then, and using
Yeah.
me as an example. I just had another birthday, and so, and I'm getting closer. I'm just a couple years away now from another, leveling up to another decade in 48, going on 50, in a couple years. And I am not so I'm okay with fading into a room sometimes. I'm not that
Yeah.
I don't want to necessarily have all eyes, although it doesn't make I don't know, I feel conflicted as I've gotten older. So, do you see
I get that.
that
Yeah.
change in people?
It also changes whether you're at work or at home
Mm.
because you as a dental assistant versus you as a mom may be completely different.
Oh,
So I always tell my people that absolutely, as we age, I think we change good ways. I really do think we've learned from our past, and maybe that helps us change into who we want to be. So absolutely, I think if we took it every decade, I think it would change somewhat.
yeah. I love these type of assessments, these tools, and their help. They're tools. They're not like this, end all be all. This is who you are.
Yeah.
Just per our last question or two, you can change. It just helps you get a better understanding of who you are and how to function at work or at home or with others.
Yeah, and to me, I mentioned my wife and I are completely different personality styles. It's been so helpful just in terms of the old "where do you want to go eat" question, or things that are just come up every day. Whenever I realize that the bane of her existence is me saying whatever you want, even though the Southern gentleman in me says that, I know she doesn't want to hear that. So, just little things like that I think we can pick up with each other. I think it makes a world of difference.
I want to talk about your career path a little bit. So you mentioned that you did sports. So we have that in
Yeah,
common too, sports.
we do.
And okay,
We
so
do.
you that was when you started sports PR. Was that your dream job?
It was,
Okay.
honestly. So if you know the NAIA, it's
Yep.
Small College
Yep.
Athletics. My job, I was their director of PR. I'd go to ESPN, Sports Illustrated, USA Today, and tell them why somebody from uh, Westmont College in Santa Barbara, California, deserved as much publicity as somebody from UCLA.
Hmm.
That was my job, and I loved it. And sports has always been a part of my life. It still is. I'm very much a split personality. I do dentistry during the day. At night, I'm the beat writer for the Colorado Rockies baseball team for the Denver Gazette,
Really?
a local newspaper. So I'm very split, and it's something that I think really keeps me energized. That I can find something that fuels my soul in one way with dental assistance, but also I love baseball and everything about it, and I can tell those stories as well.
So baseball's your first love in sports.
It is.
Okay.
It is. It always has been. I just love the strategy, the thing, everything that goes on to make it actually happen.
Hmm.
I love that part of the game. I absolutely do.
And as a beat writer, are you a Colorado's Rocky fan, or is your team a different team?
I grew up with the Cubs.
Okay.
I grew up with Chicago Cubs because WGN. I'm a child of the '80s. So whenever I got home from high school, the Cubs were on TV. So I grew up cheering for the Cubs, rooting for them, everything else. I'm a fan of the Rockies because I know the guys. I cheer for the humans. And I know when a guy goes 0 for 4 that night, I know why in a way because I've talked to him about some of the struggles he may be having at home or some of the things that are going on outside of baseball that may be impacting him at that moment. So, and I'm a fan of people more than I am a team, if that makes sense.
I love this. Let me ask you this: if they have a shitty streak of games, they're not
Yeah,
playing
which
well.
they do.
of- Do you call for the firing of the GM every single time?
No, because I have to see that GM every time. I walk down the hall, he says hi to me. I don't want to say, "Hey, you should be canned, buddy." No,
No, I
you
say
know.
that tongue in cheek because anytime the K Wings lose, they want my head to roll, and I'm like,
Sure, of course,
but I'm like,
it's your fault.
it's my fault. It's my fault, Kevin. And I'm like, how are you so irrational? Like not you, but the pervert some of the fans.
Yeah.
And I didn't know
Well,
if you're able to separate. It sounds like you are separate the facts from the emotion.
you have to. The Rockies lost 119 of their 162 games last year. Okay,
Oh,
I mean, it was bad. Okay,
oh,
43 and 119 was their final record.
woof.
They were bordering on the worst team in history. So it got hard to keep positive. It got hard to find things to write about other than, are we really want this GM around? Now, they cleaned house,
They did.
and they should have,
Yeah.
to be honest. They cleaned house outside of the season. But I never said, hey, Bill Schmidt should be fired. I criticized his roster construction a lot. But I always used facts to say why. It wasn't just, run this guy out of town because it's there's reasons why.
Well, and there's a difference at different levels of pro sports. So by that I
For
mean
sure.
triple A baseball or double A baseball or single A baseball. It's just like that in hockey. And we're double A men's professional hockey. So the GM, even though I have a GM title, I'm not working on the roster. And
Yeah,
and that's different at this level of hockey. Now, if you go up at the NHL, that GM is, but and it's hard for
oh yeah.
fans to understand that. You get it because you've been in sports, but I don't think some. I know some fans don't get it. They choose not to.
Oh, no. No, and it's amazing the number of Rockies players that have either gotten a death threat through social media because they
Yes.
didn't get a hit that night, or they've deactivated social media because of all the hate they get for a bad outing or whatever it is. That's the world we live in right now, and it sucks completely that you didn't help me with my parlay, so I'm going to spew at you. I mean, it's insane.
Oh my gosh, I feel so seen right now. I mean, seriously, because I do because it makes me feel a little bit better that I'm not the only one because in truth, my safety has been called into question over this. And and
Yeah.
and you get it and understand that
Yeah.
it's not like can you imagine if I showed up at that person's house or at their job and was like, I'm going to kill you because I didn't have pickles on my burger or wherever they work. It's
Sure.
insanity.
It is, and I hate that we're in that environment for yeah the I just told this story at the SCN meeting, but real quick,
Yeah.
there was a Rockies outfielder that he was rookie of the year, finished fourth in voting the year before. The next year, started the year, bad slump, couldn't feel the thing in the outfield, had numerous errors, got hurt. And so everybody's like, what's wrong with this guy? And the one thing he didn't tell even us beat writers was that when his daughter was born, she had a lot of lung defects. And so she was fighting to breathe every day. And when he wasn't at stadium, he was at the hospital with her. And he didn't tell us that till a year later because he said, I didn't want people to see it as an excuse. I didn't want them to go, oh, poor me. There's just so much going on behind the scenes you never know about. And I think no matter what level you're at, we're
Yes.
human beings,
Yes.
and I don't think people take that into consideration so often.
I have a lot of compassion for what you just spoke about, not for your that player, but also for your role. And by that I mean having to keep shining the turd is what I call it
Yeah.
to my PR guy,
Yep.
because
Yep.
you just went through a season where you're like, how the heck? Because you don't want to like shit all over them. You want
You don't.
to. So how do you? If how do you balance that? Like, what's your mindset? What do you do in a season like that to write
Well, and you
authentically?
and you can't always be Sally Sunshine either.
Right.
I mean, you have to say this is the reality of it. But you can also point out when a guy has a good game and he's broken an 0 for 15 slump. Why did he go 3 for 4 that night? There's little moments, and again, that's why I love baseball. The moments within the game that you can shine a light on. That's the stuff that got me through a 119 loss season. Now, granted, here in Denver, I will tell you, everybody tuned out because it was Broncos time about early August. It didn't matter what the Rockies were doing. And I realized that. But at the same time, you've still got to tell those stories because there's things that happen that are worth telling that are positive, even in the midst of the shining the turd, as you said.
Yeah, that's my
Seriously,
professional language.
which is a good one.
Baseball is a long season and
Yeah.
so many games.
Oh, yeah.
So many games. So do you go to all of
Yep.
them or are you watching on TV or what are you doing?
I so I go to all the home games. In fact, after we're done, I'll head down to Coors Field here
Okay.
in just a little bit and do that. I will travel with the team to some places. So I probably watch 100 to 110 in person a year out of the 162.
I
And yeah,
let me just
it's
say
fun.
that right there. Like hockey is a long season. We're 6 months, but we have
Oh yeah,
72 games at this level, 36 on the road, 36 at home. And it doesn't matter. I've been doing this 12 years now. I think I'm going to my 13th season. It feels so long. But
yeah,
listen to what Kevin is saying. Like, this is insane. Like, just and to work it. And I'm coming from the front office perspective, which is similar to what you're doing, but that is a lot. That's beyond a passion. That's a calling. Does it feel? It's got to feel like a calling to you.
It's a calling and a blessing, honestly. I mean, if you said, if you told me 45 years ago, what would you want to do for a living? It's this. I'd want to write sports, and so the fact that I'm in this position and I can still do it, I have a wife that supports me to do that. She knows she's a widow from April to September, and and this as a GM, it's not like you just show up at game time and then go home at the final buzzer. I mean, it is, I'll be down there for about 10, 11 hours today, and that's okay. I choose it. I love it. And I think anytime that we find something that feeds our soul, we're willing to put in that time, because that's whenever, the old saying, it doesn't feel like work.
No. And even to this day, even on my worst days in hockey, and I've had a lot of them, not, just because it's more about the stuff, the fans and all that. But, it doesn't feel like work. It really doesn't. It does feel like a blessing. I often say it's the best job I never knew I wanted. And I probably said that when you interviewed me, but I did not know this about you, and that is so cool. Now, I need to know, does your wife and daughters throughout these years, do they go to games with you periodically?
They, I'm in they don't. They're like, bye, shoot, because I'm in the press box.
Oh, yeah.
We have fireworks games here at Coors Field, and my wife will go to one of those because she knows after the game, I'll do my interviews, and then I'll find her and we'll watch fireworks together. So we can make that happen. But the other 80 home games, she's like, you go have a great time. I'm going to have some alone time and a glass of wine right here, and I'll be good. So
good for her.
Yeah. But no, my daughter, they both have been a support system for me. My daughter growing up, she knew that at night, sometimes I wasn't going to be there to say goodnight to her because I was doing this. And she never held it against me. She never griped about it. There may have been nights she wanted to, but she was also always like, she knew Dad was happy. Mm-hmm. And so I think that meant something to her. And I think it's influenced her a little bit as a young adult now too.
So how do you, and I get asked this question a lot too, and I'm curious to know your answer. How do you balance all of it? Because I'm going to paint a picture, and I'm assuming a little only because I live it a little, but you're traveling a lot because you're speaking at conferences, attending conferences. You have a podcast, as do I. We
run similar lanes.
We both work in sports. So how do you we both love to write. How do you balance all of this? And you're married, family, same. So how do you balance it?
All that. Well, for me, it starts with communication, and it starts with laying out expectations. Because if I surprised my wife and said, "Hey, 81 games, bye," that wouldn't go over well. So we have calendars that are very much locked and loaded, but we also schedule out time. I'm an hour and a half from the mountains, and we go up to Breckenridge, Colorado to escape quite a bit. Mm-hmm. And when the Rockies are on the road and I'm not with them, that's our colored out time to go to Breckenridge and to hike and to reconnect. So I split apart for those few days, but also when the homestand's over and I'm not traveling, then we reconnect. Now, the good thing is she's in dentistry as well. So we just got back from this conference together, and a lot of shows we go to together. So we're blessed in that respect, but still it starts with communication and expectations. And I know for 81 home games, I've got to trade her something, and I know mountains are her happy spot.
Yeah.
And so, you know what? Yeah, let's go hiking. Let's go do that.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And it sounds to me like you feel like you live a very fulfilled life.
I do. I'm blessed beyond measure. I have a wife who's my best friend. I have an amazing daughter. I learned something, a saying over the weekend, and I'm going to use it here. I have a bonus daughter as well. My wife's daughter is an amazing human with special needs, and she lights up the room whenever she walks into it as well. So I get to do what I love with people that I love. So there's nothing to gripe about at all.
Yeah, that's how I feel. So let's keep talking about the women in your life. The podcast, Women in ... actually stemmed from I was at a sports conference, and I sit on the steering committee for the National Sports Forum, and I'd been working on trying to break through women in sports, not with the female athlete, but more on the business side too, with female leadership in pro sports. And I finally was able to cultivate a center stage opportunity to lift women up, and it was so profound and powerful. And then I was like, can we do a networking event after this? And they were like, yes. They kept saying yes to me, because when I kept getting a yes, I was like, I'm going to keep going, and until they tell me no. And you could tell there was energy around this. So I came back and I'm like, how do we keep this going? How do I tell these stories? And I was always this person that was like, I am not doing a podcast because everybody's doing them, which is my defense mechanism, because I just didn't know how to do it. So I was going to start the podcast about women in sports. But then I was like, well, we're so much more than our occupation. And I want to have men on the podcast too, because there's been so many important men in my life. Men came from women. Important women are in men's lives. The word men is in women. So I kicked out the word sports. I threw in the dots. And then for the women that come on the podcast, I'll ask them to fill in those dots. But for the men, I want to know who, and we've talked about your wife and both your daughters, your bonus daughter and your biological daughter. Who are these other women, and maybe you want to say more about others, that have helped you become the man that sits before me today?
Well, it's got to be mom. I mean, it starts with my mom. She is 82 in Oklahoma. I see her every month. She and my dad are both living, and I'm very thankful for that. So I go home once a month to check in on them. So that's part of the travel as well. But I wouldn't be here without her. She taught me a long time ago to get to know people, like ask questions, and so that's one of the reasons why I'm very curious whenever I talk to somebody and I learn who is Tony Will. So I give her all the credit in the world for that. And to be perfectly frank, dentistry is becoming a very female dominated industry. We talked about Laura. Some of my best friends, before I met my wife, I had a road wife, that she and I would show up at conferences together, and we'd just hang out because, it was just fun. So I've been touched by so many females throughout the years, just learning from them what it's like to be caring, what it's like to ask questions, what it's like to dig a little deeper other than just the high fives and the bromances sometimes that can go on, that happen with me and my male friends.
I laugh because I'm surrounded by this shit in hockey. Just so much masculinity and
Oh yeah.
broing.
Oh, it oozes in the clubhouse, right? I mean, seriously.
It does,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
after a while, I'm like, "Oh my Lord!" But it gives me an appreciation that I didn't have until I walked into this world at 35 years old, all those years ago, or 36. And I'm like, holy cow, I realized I had a lot of work to do in the best way possible. And you're doing that work in the dental world, and I'm over here doing it in sports.
Yeah, and I think it's the whole bloom where you planted thing. I mean, I really do believe in that in a big way. And the thing that I've really tried to explain to so many I've come into contact with, because I told you my origin story, but people ask me, well, wait, you've never been an assistant? You've never worked in a practice? And I'm like, no, I haven't. So I can't say I understand what you're feeling, but I can sure sympathize with you. And I can sure tell you what I've learned from others. So it's a shared experience more than a personal experience that I have with so many of these dental assistants. And I think they appreciate that, just because I don't go, oh, well, I remember when I dot, dot, dot. It's more listening to them and then thinking back to the stories I've heard from their sisters around about what they're going through and how I can help them.
Yeah. Oh, it's just so powerful. Like, you embody what an ally is from a man, as a man, from a woman's perspective. And you do it naturally. To just maybe you've been described this way, but salts of the earth, like truly
Wow.
just very likable, down to earth, genuine. We need more men like you out there, truly.
Well, I appreciate that. I've been I am lucky. I never knew I wanted to be a girl dad, and it's been the greatest thrill of my life. Uh, I never knew I wanted to be in dentistry. I mean, there's so many things that if you've ever seen the movie Mr. Destiny,
I haven't.
it's not one that a lot of people don't put that on their list, and it's an older one with Jim Belushi and Michael Caine. But there's a point where think of it as an updated "It's a Wonderful Life" almost. Okay, and Michael Caine is that angel. But there's a point where he shows Jim Belushi the moment in time that he went on this path instead of this one.
Mm.
And I think back to that so often about the moments that I did something that put me on this path, and I don't think it was just sheer luck or chance. I definitely I believe in higher power. I believe in little nudges from above, and I know that's why I'm sitting here right now talking to you.
I listen. Something happened yesterday, and I was at a speaking engagement. The exact same thing happened. I'm getting chills just thinking about it, and it was crazy. Anyways, but I believe in all that stuff too, especially
Yeah,
when we have moments of doubt, like, am I doing the right thing? And by that, it could be like, oh, my daughter seems to be okay with me being gone and not putting her to bed, but is this really right? Maybe I shouldn't be the beat writer anymore. I'm sure you asked yourself those questions at times.
I drove off kicking myself every night. Honest to God, I
Hmm.
did.
Hmm.
Yeah, but I also knew she needed to see that there was something more to Dad other than Dad,
Yeah.
and so I think that I showed her career was important, and she's got an amazing career now.
So let's talk keynote speaking for a minute. I don't get to talk
Yeah.
about this topic often. I mean, but I haven't. But I want to talk to you about it. What percentage of the pie of I call your career like a portfolio career because you've
Yeah.
got revenue streams from different things. So what percentage of the pie is keynote speaking for you?
Am I putting baseball in that pie, or is this just dental pie?
Do you keynote speak in baseball?
I don't.
Oh, so
So
no, the
it's
whole
yeah.
pie, the whole pie.
Okay, the whole
But yeah,
pie. Okay.
yeah. So
Okay.
put baseball in there.
I would say it's probably 20%,
Okay.
honestly.
Yeah.
I would say it is. I think the keynote 20, because you got podcasting, you got baseball, you've got, yeah, everything else that goes.
Okay.
But honestly, it's the chance I've got to almost be live. And I mean, you get this, you've got the podcast and people think they know you, but then whenever you actually get to meet them in person and they realize you're a human being that says the wrong words and stumbles and does all these other things, it's actually really refreshing for me to be able to no, I'm real, poke,
Yeah.
touch me. Yeah, I'm real.
I'm a real
So,
person. Yeah, they say bicuspid wrong, like me.
which is fine. That's okay. Trust me.
I know. I laugh. That's why I don't edit anything. I leave ums in.
No,
We,
we're human.
we are so
We're
human.
human, and that's okay. It
Yeah.
is, and trust me, I laugh at myself all the time. I'm a klutz, but you know what? It makes the world go round. It's all right.
You know what's funny? I'll have to put this back out. But I've been on a lot of podcasts as a guest, but the artwork you did for my podcast was hilarious. By the way, I wrote about it when I put it out on my newsletter however many months ago, and I'm like, this made me spit out my coffee laugh, like me as a dental assistant. Kevin put my head on a. It was so good. I have to tell you that.
We drop you. It's like Survivor. We drop you right into the game, man. Absolutely.
I was
So,
like, I like this guy. Um, Kevin, do you like to read, or are you learning about something? Are you listening to something? What do you tell
you
me
know,
about that
you
world?
know, I. So it's weird as a journalist. I don't read, and that's really weird to say. I read short stuff.
Mhm.
I read a lot of news articles. I read a lot of things to stay up to date. I read a lot of sports stuff, so I know what I'm talking about whenever these guys come up to me in the clubhouse. And listening wise, Diary of a CEO is one that my wife has turned me on to. I really enjoy that
Hmm.
podcast. But honestly, if I've got my headphones on, I'm either transcribing an interview or I'm listening to a Marvel movie soundtrack and trying to get pumped up for the day ahead. That's it.
Okay, I like that. That's
Yeah.
what pumps you
Little
up.
superhero in the background. Yeah, it does. It
That is
does.
so cool. I love that answer. And not everyone needs to be reading. And I think some of it is seasonal in our lives. Like, there were several years I wasn't reading books because that season was raising kids and working and
Sure.
whatever. And you're writing too. So writing is a whole other beast.
Yeah. My wife loves to sit on the beach and just flop. I can't do that. I have to be doing something. So I will pull out the laptop and write something, and she looks at me like, really? But to me, that's my zen.
Hmm.
It's not unplugging, but it's being creative. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have a book in you, do you think?
I did one way back in the
Oh, you
day.
did?
battling and beating the demons of dental assisting. How about that? So I did. I did. And the little demon on the front, they originally had him with one finger. And I was like, no, we can't put that on the cover. I'd love to, but no. Yeah, but I think there's a second one out there. I do. And I think it'll come back. I just need to update it. And I think a lot of it's going to be around some of the stories. I just did a 10-minute talk on what baseball's taught me about humanity. And I think I'd like to expand on that a little bit.
Oh, I think that'd be really cool. Oh, this is awesome. Kevin, if people are looking to connect with you and maybe talk baseball or dental assisting or
Yeah,
being a girl dad, all the things you do, where can
all
they
that.
find you?
Well, you can find me at two places, kevinspeaksdental.com or dentalassistantnation.com. And if you're into 15-minute podcasts that are all about, bicuspid and other dental terms, then you can find us on Apple, Spotify, or anywhere you get your podcasts.
Yeah. Oh, I wanted to tell you, and I probably told you this when you interviewed me. I go to the dentist every 6 months. I just want you to know that. Ever since I
Well,
was
you
a
know what?
kid.
Well, thank you for supporting the industry.
I will. It's like I'm religious about it, and our teeth health is so important.
Okay, can I do my 30-second
Yes,
thing?
please
Real
do.
quick?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Because one thing I have learned is that the mouth is absolutely the gateway to the body, and if you have periodontal disease, that leads to heart disease. So many organs can be touched by what's going on in your gums. So absolutely, see your dentist. Take care of yourself. The flossing, you absolutely have to do it. I'm sorry, but little things like that will help your whole body. And that's my quick oral health connection pitch.
Yeah, I completely agree. I floss every single day, and I know people have a hard time with it, but just build it in as a habit, as part of your nightly routine. It's so worth it, and it truly is. Thinking about the things we put in our mouth, truly, and then
Oh yeah.
I could go on my alcohol soapbox, but I won't. So,
Well, I always say you never know what's in this cup.
that's true.
But hey,
Yeah.
it's all good.
Kevin. Oh, I do have one more question. I'm doing this a little backwards. I like to ask a fun one, and
Okay.
so you travel a lot. I travel a lot. So I'm
Yes.
going to ask the travel question. You're flying
Ooh.
somewhere, okay? It
Mm.
doesn't matter, personal or professional. Are you the guy that checks a bag or only does a carry on?
I'm always carry on, even to Europe. I always carry on, nothing else.
Same, even to Europe.
There you go.
We
Nice.
I can't. I'm like, I refuse. I'm allergic to checking bags.
Oh yeah, I'll do laundry. I'll find a laundromat in Europe, and I've got some of the best stories just from trying to figure out how to work the washer in Prague. So that's fantastic. Yeah.
Same. And then you have to like air dry everything because the dryers are shit. And yeah.
Exactly right.
Yeah. Oh, I'm the
Yeah,
same
carry
way.
on for me.
Carry. Okay. Oh, see, I knew it.
I'm also an aisle guy. I don't know about you. I'm an aisle guy though,
Oh, no,
not a window guy.
I'm an aisle person too because I like to be able to get up and
Yes.
pee when I want.
Yes, thank you. Absolutely.
I didn't know if it's because you were tall and you wanted to stick your leg out.
No. I like the freedom to be able to get up and roam if I need to.
That's
Absolutely.
exact. And today I was on a plane and I was in the window seat because I got upgraded and that's where they put me. So I'm not going to complain, but I had to pee so bad and I didn't want to disrupt the person sitting next to me, even though normally I would. But I'm like, we're going to land and then. But yes, oh, you get
Yeah.
it.
Right there with you.
I
See?
love it.
Another thing, same lanes, I'm telling you.
It's amazing, and so what a great conversation. If you ever are thinking about starting a podcast, Kevin or I would be happy to help you because that's what
Yes.
brought us into each other's lives, and we're lifting women up, both of us. So we're always here to cheer you on as well. So. I am not hard to find, everyone. The hockey side of my life is at kwings.com. And then everything else I'm working on. The big event coming up August 11th is my book being published, Rebellious Success. It's on sale now for pre-order, but will be in your mailbox and on bookshelves August 11th. And that can be found at tonywill.com. And until next time.